Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. You don't have to be a Putin admirer or, a Putin hater or anything like that. All you need to do is to listen to him. And not listen to agree with him, but to listen to his whatever he has to say. And always look at what people do, especially when they say they will do it, and see if they, follow through with that thing. In this case, we have Vladimir Putin, and believe me, I've been listening or watching Putin's speeches and questions, answers, statements, and so on, and prepared and unprepared. And I can tell you this, that's my assessment. He avoided, or at least I don't have many examples, I don't think I have maybe one or two examples, when he really insulted someone using, a bad word or something like this. He was always, as far as I remember, diplomatic, as an evil man that he is portrayed to be, and he was diplomatic. When King Charles called him Nazi and so on, what did he say? That those kind of statements are below your status. So he smacked him intellectually, for instance. And not only when you remember when this semi-conscious Biden said that Putin is a criminal, what did he say? Well, it takes a criminal to know another criminal. Okay, this kind of things. He didn't say you're an idiot, you're not there, and so on. Or even if he said that, he said it in a very mild, jokingly way. When, if you remember, Hillary Clinton called him that he's a killer, a criminal, someone. What did he say? What does she know? He didn't get tangled in this kind of, garbage. How do you call it? Trailer trash kind of. I was about to say something else, but starting with a G, kind of speech. So, nevertheless, now what happens now? Obviously, these guys in the West don't like that he won the elections over there with 87%. And they call it illegitimate, they call it illegal, they sham, not free, not fair, blah, blah, blah. Unlike us. Okay? All right. And Putin smacks them, obviously, in a very, you can take it logical way, fact-based way, based on evidence. If you don't have that evidence, I suggest you look, click, 2 clicks, okay? I'm just suggesting to you. I'm not going to give you that because we don't know how people interpret that. All right, so let me show you what Putin said about the West, calling his elections a sham, not congratulating him, and he's crying a river. So let's start first with presidential elections, which these are the results according to Sputnik. Remember, these are the Russian Federation's presidential election, not Americans, French, and all that. So it's their business. Can we talk about it? We can. Can they talk about it? Can. But after all, it's their family's problem, not ours. All right, Russian presidential. Here is the election. So Putin, according to these guys, are the processed ballots, 100%. About half an hour ago, about 99.90 some. Now 100%. Putin won with 87%, more than the last time when he won with 67, 65, and everybody was like, oh my God, he's gonna be gone next time. Call it sham election. There's more candidates right here from more parties than the United States of America, which has 2-party system, which is, 2, turn it into 1. We have already 3 parties more, 2 parties more than these guys have here. He's an independent, he's not independent, whatever he is. So, he won. Now let's go to this article. The world, and I'm quoting, is laughing at the US. Putin boasts after election win. So he's going to tell us that actually the United States of America is not a democracy, and the world is laughing, and they know, unlike the people involved in the, sometimes when you're involved in something, in a situation, in an activity, you don't realize sometimes how ridiculous you look to the onlookers. For instance, we are all tangled. It's going to be Biden, it's going to be Trump, it's going to be Kennedy, it's going to be who knows what. Where actually this is, for me, it's a staged little game. Okay, with the mass media, with the politicians, with the big business, with all the with the Hollywood propaganda and all that. For some of us, even if we are involved in it, we realize it because we come from a different angle, from outside. That doesn't mean that there is an, how should I put it, a necessary equality, because I met imbeciles, that I come from outside and they're still totally lost. This is a zappa zappa. Okay, so what's going on here? Sometimes you have to get yourself outside, learn about other countries, other systems, other situations, and look back at your own little activity, and sometimes realize how ridiculous the whole kabuki game is. I don't know if you're familiar with Japanese theater, kabuki theater. Look at that one. Masks on, and it's played by men, and men play women's roles as well. I think they were way ahead of our times, weren't they? I think even the Greeks did that before the kabukis. After all, they didn't allow the women to, if I remember correctly, participate and watch theater in ancient Greece, if I remember correctly, because as someone said, poor guys only like that could understand something from the play. It was a joke, okay? Let's go back to this little article. So we have Putin here. So Putin says, Vladimir Putin excoriated U.S. democracy on Sunday in a speech claiming victory in the Russian presidential election that, despite a war abroad and protest at home, some protests, yeah, but try to protest during the American elections and see what happens. Freedom and democracy, all right? In the presidential election that, despite a war, only ever had one possible outcome, according to these guys: extending his political reign for another 6 years, legally. Nothing happened illegally. It was under the Russian constitution, that is the family's constitution, not my family, not your family, their family. So, all right, we can talk about it, we can. But one possible outcome, and I'm quoting, "Out of every voice, we are building a common will of the people of the Russian Federation," end quote. He said from his campaign headquarters in Moscow, according to state-owned BBC, or no? Is BBC a little bit state-owned? Is it? But they don't mention. If they mention, I know, RIA Novosti, or they Sputnik, or Russia Today, state-owned, a line, you do the BBC? No, man, it's like a... And it doesn't really matter, actually. I mean, you have other private media corporations that are not owned by the government, but owned by the right people. He shrugged off international criticism. Why should he care? Including from the United States, where a White House National Security Council spokesperson, I think it's imbecile Kirby, decried the election as obviously not free, not fair. Obviously. Now, I want you to go, I hope you will never be involved in this kind of situation where you will be accused of a wrongdoing. And when you go in front of a judge, the guy who accuses you, the witness, says, obviously you are guilty. We all know that. And the judge will say, yeah, based on that testimony, you are guilty. I guarantee you, you will immediately kick to reality and say, where's the evidence? Obviously not free and not fair, says Kirby. I think it's Kirby. So remember this kind of, we all know, we always did it that way, obviously, and then they attack you if you have a different assessment of the situation. What, are you a Putin, are you, no, but you're an imbecile, obviously. But you're an imbecile with an agenda, because as I said, put in the situation that you are at the receiving end, you will immediately kick in with reality, logic, evidence, facts. When you're about someone else, obviously gut feelings, jerk-offs, and all the above. So let's move on. That's not all what Putin said, you'll see. And this is what he said. What did you want? For them to applaud us? Yeah. Putin asked, The Guardian reported, and I'm quoting again, the goal is to contain our development. Of course, they are ready to say anything, end quote. He went on to suggest, and I'm quoting, the entire world is laughing at the US, saying it was a, and I'm quoting, disaster, not a democracy. Oy vey. Where is your evidence? Starting with 2000 elections with Gore and, what's his name? Bush, the first, the second. Yeah, that illiterate. Oh, no, he's not illiterate. You know he's not illiterate? Because as I said many times before, George W. Bush, the second, okay, he blew it for me like clear that the Ivy League schools in the United States of America are not really what they say. Why? Because this guy, the guy, George W. Bush, went to Yale University and Harvard. Oh, well, we know that I always mention this. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama also, I think, went to Harvard. So that, again, two more examples. No, they're not bright, basically. That's my assessment of their intelligence based on their statements as a human being. All right? So let's move on. So again, according to a translation by Sputnik, a state-owned news agency. Oy vey. See? But BBC, right here, BBC, according to BBC. And right, 2 paragraphs down here. Sputnik, a state-owned news agency. And I'm quoting, I have every reason to believe that no democracy, at least in the presidential election campaigns in certain countries of the West, including the United States, does not exist. He continued. Got that? Well, this is his opinion or assessment. You can have yours, obviously, but what do you think? Now, they talk about Putin eliminating his competition, his guys from the opposition. Well, all right, what's going on with Trump? What do you think these guys in the freest country in the world, let me take my Paganini, okay, what do you think these guys are doing to Trump right now? This is just justice and trying to find out the truth? Or is it just a campaign to destroy the opposition? Now, personally, I don't care if Trump is going to be over there, Biden is going to be over there, or a recently deceased person is going to be over there as a president, or someone in a coma, or or no brain or anything. I don't care. Why? Because I have big, how do you call it? I'm very skeptical that those guys really, really, really are in charge. All right? As a free person, I can believe, that the moon is just a piece of, kashkaval, a cheese. Am I entitled? And you can call me crazy, right? But I still should have the right to say it and bring the evidence, obviously. The evidence is for everyone to see clearly what happened after 2016, when Donald Trump went over there and he said this, he said that, you do this, you do, look at that laptop, bring the troops back from Syria. But anything happen? We build the wall. I want the money. Give me my party did not give me the money to build the wall. What are you talking about? This guy did not listen to him. He was not in charge. People say, well, he didn't do anything. Why? Maybe he didn't want to, but he tried. At least that's what we think. All this, he was blocked with his next guys that he appointed, some of them. But how many people do you know in your life? I don't know. 200 people? 300 people? Nobody, no? How many people do you really interact to know their character or at least to have an assessment? 20? 30? How many friends do you have? Real friends like you would, give your child, for keeping for a while because for safety. 1, 2, 3? How many people you would die for? 2, 3, 4, 5? You're not going to have 100. So imagine when you go over there and you're the president, you have to appoint people like Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. And you appoint them over there. I think those guys should not have been appointed over there from the very beginning out. But he had to appoint all kinds of weasels that were referred to him by friends, by people influential, and he appointed. Those guys were not his people. And when he told them to do something, even if those were his people, when those guys went further and told the guys underneath the bureaucratic apparatus, they are already someone's people. They say, no, yeah, we're going to do it, And they didn't do it. And he fired that guy, chief of staff, And what happened? Nothing. But each and every guy did not follow directions, orders of the boss. So that's why for me it's like, yeah, did the troops come back from Syria? I think Syria was when he said, bring them back. No, they just dragged their feet and they say, we're going to bring it. They didn't bring shit until he was out. So that's the clearest example. Not the only one, the clearest example. But anyway, Here it is, my friends. Putin thinks that there's no democracy, does not exist in the presidential election campaigns. That's what he thinks. Well, he's entitled to his own opinion, right? And he's an evil person. Let's do this so people can, say, yeah, Emily's really like I do give a fuck. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.